Hi, it's Fidget for Fitness. I'm going to make a quick and easy chicken cacciatore. So I have some olive oil heating up in a deep saute pan. You definitely need a deep saute pan because you're going to cover it with sauce and the chicken with sauce. So I am going to fry an onion in some olive oil. Once this gets translucent, I am going to add 3 cloves of garlic and then add the chicken. Now, chicken cacciatore is normally made with a whole chicken with the bone in, you know, all the pieces, thighs, breast, leg. I only use boneless, skinless chicken breast, and that's what makes it quick and easy. It cooks through very quickly. It's just as flavorful, less fat, less calories, and it's just delicious. So this is going to be the quick version, a little less traditional, but nonetheless doesn't sacrifice flavor. So I'm going to let this cook and then add the garlic and show you how we make this step by step. So these onions are sauteed just till the translucent stage, and I'm going to add the 3 cloves of garlic. Let that cook just a little bit longer. And in this separate pan, I have 1 tablespoon of butter cooking, heating up. And then I'm just going to add some sliced mushrooms. And the reason why I do this in a separate pan is because I don't like soggy mushrooms. I'm just going to let them saute, and I'm going to add them right at the end. You can omit mushrooms if you don't like mushrooms. It's traditional in chicken cacciatore. So I add it, and I actually like mushrooms. So I'm just going to let these saute. Once they're sauteed, I'm just going to keep them on the side and add them in the last few minutes of the chicken cacciatore along with the basil, just for flavor. So as this stirs and goes, I will prepare the chicken and show you how we do that in a second. So the onion and garlic are still sauteing behind me, as well as the mushrooms, which are getting cooked rapidly, so I'm going to watch them. And I have the package of 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, which I'm going to just trim the fat off of. They've just been washed and dried. Basically, just going to trim any excess fat off that you may see. And then I'm just going to put them in salt, pepper, and flour. Flour is a no-no on the Atkins diet, so I have coconut flour in this pie pan with just 3 tablespoons of regular flour. I'm going to just salt it, so I'm going to put salt, pepper. You can salt and pepper the chicken individually if you prefer. And I usually do that, so I do it both ways. So I'm going to add salt and pepper to the flour, a little bit of salt and pepper to the chicken breast. Then I'm going to dredge it in the flour, and they're going to go right into the pan, and I'm going to remove the onions and garlic. We're just going to brown this a little bit, and then we'll put a sauce on top of it. So just to dredge it, you basically just want to coat it pretty evenly so it gets a nice brown on it when it is sauteed. The coconut flour does actually a really good job of sauteing meat without all the carbs that you would get in regular flour. Just add a little bit of white flour, but the coconut flour has a beautiful aroma. It smells gorgeous. Just getting this all over the counter here. So that's it. Quick and easy. I'm going to go into the pan in a second, and I'll show you what it looks like. So I removed the onions and garlic from the pan. They've been sauteing, so just put them on a plate. I put a little bit more olive oil in the pan, let it heat up. So you want to get a nice brown chicken. And then we're just going to saute these for a few minutes on each side. And after they saute, we will cover them with sauce and chicken broth and bring out the flavors. So let them saute just a few minutes on each side just to get them brown, and then they're going to cook for a ½ hour under a cover and under the sauce. So the chicken is browned perfectly on one side, so I'm just going to give it a flip. And the pan's a little dry, so I'm going to add a little more olive oil. Just going to add it right to the center, and then just give the pan a shake. So basically, just let it get underneath the chicken breast. Brown up this side, and then we'll be ready to add the sauce and cover it up. So now that the chicken is browned up both sides, I am just going to add the onions back into the pan. I'm going to add some chicken broth. This is a can of the low sodium chicken broth. I'm not going to add it all, just enough to kind of coat the bottom. It's about 3/4 of a can. Then I'm going to add some red wine. Again, it's a no-no on the Atkins diet, but this should burn off. I'm just going to let this cook in the red wine, which will give it a beautiful flavor, and the chicken broth. A couple minutes on each side, and then we will add the tomatoes and tomato paste, cover it, and we'll be good to go. Chicken cacciatore is normally served with rice, and again, rice is a no-no on the Atkins diet, but today is either 103 days or 104 days I've been on the Atkins diet and haven't had any bread, rice, or pasta other than the one time I cheated with macaroni and cheese. And I think I had some rice outside of a sushi roll. So I'm going to make 1 cup of rice tonight, and this will be split over 2 meals for me and 2 meals for my man. So, you know, I'll have a chicken breast tonight and then probably 1 for lunch tomorrow and the same for him. So I will just have a couple of tablespoons of rice because I think this sauce is so good, it's just boring on a plate. So I think I'm deserving of a little bit of rice after how long I've been on this diet. And so I'm going to make a cup, and that'll be split between 4 separate meals and 2 individuals. So I don't think that'll be too much off the rails. And this is a delicious meal, so I'll be back to show you how we finish it. So the chicken's been cooking in this wine broth with the chicken broth for a few minutes. And I'm going to add some tomatoes, and the aroma is just delicious. So I'm going to add 1 can of Muir Glen crushed tomatoes. And then I'm also going to add a can of Muir Glen tomato paste. And if you like it really tomatoey, you can add a 2nd can, but I think 1 is enough. I'm going to add the Muir Glen tomato paste. It thickens it up, and it's just delicious. Then I am just going to put the cover on this. It'll cook for about 25 to 30 minutes. And in the last 5 minutes, I'm just going to add the mushrooms and some basil that I'm going to chop from my garden. And that will be the meal. Just served over rice, and it'll be just delicious, perfectly cooked through. So I'm just going to let this go until it is all incorporated and the tomato paste breaks down a little bit. You want to continue to open it up every 10 minutes, every 7 minutes or so, and turn the chicken over just so it's evenly cooked. So let this go, put a cover on it, and come back in a few minutes, 5 to 7 minutes or so, and turn the chicken over and recover it. So there's about 3 minutes left to the cooking of this chicken cacciatore. So I am now going to add the sauteed mushrooms and the basil, and I chopped the basil up. It's about 13 or 14 medium-sized leaves. Just basically just give it a quick little rough chop and stick it in here. You don't want the basil to go in too early, it'll change the flavor, but it'll add a delicious flavor if you just put it right in at the end. So just let this cook for the last few minutes. Again, keep on turning the chicken, which I've been doing. So just let this go. I did add a little bit of salt because I tasted it, and sometimes tomatoes can be a little bitter, so I added a little bit of just fresh ground sea salt, which is this, just real quick. And some people add sugar. I'm not adding sugar because of my Atkins diet. Bad enough I'm going to have this with a little rice. But it looks delicious, and it should be ready to go in a couple minutes, and I'll plate it and show you what it looks like. So here's the finished product served with a couple tablespoons of rice, and I just have a big mound of sauce over it because I love the sauce. So I'll give you the close-up. A little bit of rice, maybe about 3 or 4 tablespoons, about 3, maybe a little less than a 1/4 cup. And the chicken breast, and it's just going to be just a delicious light meal. I normally would serve this with a salad, but I'm just going to have it by itself. I can never eat one of these whole breasts anyway, so I probably won't even finish this. And that's dinner. So enjoy this chicken cacciatore. I hope you make this recipe.